Welcome back again. This is Jamaica Bob here, and in this video, you're going to find out a little bit more about what a Calypso for Kids show is like. The first video, you got a chance to hear my early beginnings, and then in life, and then how I got to Southern California. And the second video, you got to hear a little bit more about how I got into sharing culture through music. So in this video, I'm going to break it down just a little bit more detail about what you can expect in a Calypso for Kids performance. And I'll try and compare the in-person and the virtual, just so, since that's a little bit more prevalent of a comparison these days. So, Calypso for Kids is an amusing musical tour of the Caribbean. So I've chosen as the format because I do believe that a structure allows us to do certain things. So I've structured it as a musical tour where I anchor songs in different islands. That way I'm able to talk about the island, share some geography, some history, and some tidbits as a way of engaging the students, particularly in person. When we're doing it in person, we get to talk about the importance of listening and having fun, and how that we have fun by listening, and then if they listen to a performance, if the audience listens, then they have an opportunity to come up and be a part of the show. And I find that structure helps me keep people and the students, everybody focused. It keeps me focused too, really, and so that's that's really important. So I'm using musical tour of the Caribbean. We'll go to typically 4 islands. We'll start furthest to the east, Barbados. You would sing as part of a song, sing along in a song that tells the journey of how all the different peoples come to be in the Caribbean. I'll share about the cultures that I represent in my family, and talk about some of the things that you can see and hear in the Caribbean that reflect the variety of cultures. So first stop, Barbados, furthest to the east. Then we're going to go north to the island nation of the Bahamas. And we'll talk about just the numbers of islands that you will find there. We'll talk about the connection between Columbus on his journey to the United States, and how he is connected there in the Bahamas. And there I like to talk about a favorite insect of mine, and you'll learn more about that in the show. So, and in each island I'll share some things that I say, hey, I want you to remember this and I want you to remember that. That way, and I'm talking to you as a student, but if you were a teacher, then I'm talking about your students paying attention as we go through. Virtually, it's a little trickier. And so virtually, I actually switch up a little bit, and I share the information, but less emphasis on the interactive part at the end of the performance, because we can't do that virtually. But we make sure there's time for interaction at the end of the experience, so that we can learn more about, or just get to engage just a little bit more. Okay, so first Barbados, then Bahamas. Then we come down into the center of the Caribbean-ish to Jamaica, and I talk about some things related to Jamaica, the music, and some maybe famous persons, and some of the influence that Jamaica has had throughout the world. All right, so that's the third stop. And typically that's where, if we're in person, we'll do an interactive piece. And so that's Jamaica. The 4th island would be Trinidad and Tobago, that island nation. That's the furthest south. So we've gone east, north, into the center, and down south. So we're doing some geography. We're doing some musicology, because we talk about, you will hear about styles of music, different art forms. Calypso, we certainly talk about Calypso in Trinidad and Tobago, but we talk about Calypso, we talk about reggae, we talk about cha-cha, we talk about soca. So we talk about some of those art forms, and we talk about rap a little bit, and we do some math and do some history, of course, and of course geography, and then we tie maybe the cultural experience here in the United States. There are some things that are we have here because of the connection to the Caribbean, and so on. Those are some of the themes that will percolate in and out of a Calypso for Kids and Jamaica Bob type performance. All right, so we've gone around. That's what we'll do. I'll sing songs that are either from, but typically they're from those places, or they're anchored there because of what it allows me to do musically and descriptively as we go through the presentation. And typically I like to have a time for question and answer, so I make sure that I allow for that as we are planning through. So some of the questions will come maybe from having seen these videos, and some of the questions will come from what's said during the presentation. So Calypso for Kids and a musical tour. There is singing along. So I said art forms, but I also should have said including styles of singing. So we'll do some call and response, for example. That's probably the more significant one. That's definitely very Caribbean as well. That happens all over the world, but we do it, so I want to make sure I include it because it allows me to be interactive with you. All right, so beyond Calypso for Kids, there are a couple of things that I am open to doing with your school or with your class. Then they tend to revolve around food or other cultural type experiences. So in addition to being we would call a fancy term, multicultural performing artist, I also am a wellness coach, and so I can talk about Jamaican foods, and then I can also talk about healthy foods as part of that conversation. So that is an option that we can do maybe as a subsequent to Calypso for Kids interaction, right? Because I'm and there's other things related to wellness, of course, that I could do with that, social, emotional kinds of things that we would do in school to be very helpful to your students. And if you're a student watching this, that means if you're feeling a little stressed out, maybe Jamaica Bob can talk some things and help you process that, just because of my background. So there are a couple of things, beyond the musical performance that I might be able to be of service to you and your community. But primarily, this has been a series where you've gotten a chance to kind of see and hear me, and, is he okay? Does he seem like a reasonably nice guy? And, I've been doing this since 1989 and love it. And I want to do more. So just let me know how I can be of assistance to you and how I can help deepen your understanding of Caribbean culture. All right. Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos. There'll probably be more by the time this year is over, but I want to make sure there's at least a set of three where you get a chance to kind of hear my early beginnings, and then you come into my early start in the arts, and then you finish by learning a little bit more about the Calypso for Kids show so that you can be ready to go. Now, I also want to put a plug in here at this point. If you've watched all the way through, then I want you to know that I'm also part of the Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration. So that is a way by which we can connect, particularly virtually. And I'm also a member of the Children's Music Network. And so I may know of other artists that might fit what you're looking for, or that's a resource that you can be pointed to where you can find an enrichment opportunity for your students and community. Thanks so much. And as they say in Jamaica, walk good till next time. Take care.